Welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's video, we're going to be talking about counter-attacking football in Football Manager. So usually everyone goes attacking. We like to be on the front foot, highest defensive line, highest pressing. But in the last couple of days, I've been trialing how to get counter-attacking defensive type of football to work. And I think I might have cracked it. Let's jump into the video. So here we are then in Spain, and this is the La Liga table. 38 games played, and we've come fourth. This is the second season. This save was designed just for tactical testing, means I've sort of got a bit attached to the save because it's a different way to play the game. We are playing on a defensive mentality. We'll come to that later, but I just want to show you a couple of things first. So first season, for full transparency, we finished 14th. This, in my opinion, was because of the team cohesion, the dynamic screen. This screen here was all downward arrows. If we're going to dynamic screen, this one here in the middle, this is the key one, honestly. This is so key. I'm just going to throw that tip in at the start of the video. It's such a key point of the entire game that people might not even look at, but this here has a massive ramifications on your performances, how you view your tactic, because you could have a good, solid tactic, but you could have signed about 7 or 8 new players in the summer. This is all sort of in the red over here, and these upward arrows, like upward thumbs ups, a thumbs down, and your tactic won't perform well, your players won't be performing well. But as soon as this goes into the green, and the thumbs up are up rather than down, you will actually see a different team and a different tactic. So first of all, stick with your team and your tactic. If you're confident in your tactic, stick with it until this turns green. So in this first season, like I mentioned, the dynamic screen wasn't good. It wasn't good for, I would say, 2/3, if not more of the season, 4/5 of the season. If I look at the first stage, or first half of the season, this is what it was like. After 19 games, I was starting to think genuinely, like, I've not got this right. I'm not going to be able to make the video. I need to work on the tactic a bit more. And I have changed a couple of things along the way, and I'll speak to them about them in a second. But I stuck with it. I thought, do you know what? I am quite confident in my tactics, so I'll stick with it. And when this turns green, the dynamic screen, we'll test it there as well and see what happens. And in the second half, when it did, well, not the second half, but the sort of last third, we finished in, what is that, 7th position. And really, we're like 3 points behind a Champions League spot, right? Effectively, we are. We're also about 5 points away from mid-table, which is fair enough. But all in all, that meant that we finished 14th. Now, again, we did only finish 6 points away from relegation, so that's a negative. But we did also finish about 6 points away, 5 points away from a top half finish, which with Real Oviedo in the first season, if you're going to have a look at their team in the first season before the game starts, it's not great. It's not La Liga standard. In almost every single save, the AI will probably get them relegated. So I thought, do you know what? We'll pick these because it's very, very difficult. I think we were like 1,000 or 2,000 to 1, and the next team was like 500. But when the first season finished, I said to myself, I'm not going to sign too many players. And I didn't. I signed about 4 or 5, which is not much in FM terms, as we all know. And we ended up finishing 4th. Now, I've got a bit of a problem on my save at the moment, on my game, on FM. I can't go into games and view goals back. For some reason, if you've got that as well, let me know, because it's absolutely driving me crazy that I can't see goals back. Obviously, I've watched the goals because I've played the games, but I can't show you them. It's so frustrating. There's been a couple of games where we've hit teams on counterattacks, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you stats from throughout the season that sort of show that what I would be showing you is true. Right, so it's not physical proof that you can see with your eyes, but it sort of is because it's stats, and you can sort of paint a picture from the stats. So if we come to this screen here, this is the team stats page. Now, average possession, and Barcelona at the top and Real Madrid, as you'd expect, but if you sort that by at the bottom, then we are second from bottom. Racing Santander finished 16th, Burgos 20th. All these teams with least possession finished quite far down the league. And we finished 4th with only 40%. So straight away, you can see the picture that we don't have much possession, but we finished 4th. So that is clearly relying on us not having the ball and hitting teams on the counter-attack. Obviously, we're going to show you more stats, but to start with, that is quite an important one. So if we go to goals per game, we're 6th in the list there, 1.66, behind 5 very good teams. Valencia have been good on this save, surprisingly, and Girona have got a good team, but then obviously these are the other top 3 as well. And we are above Real Sociedad, Villarreal, Bilbao, Betis, and some other clubs. So we are scoring goals. It's not like we're sort of winning 1-0. We're actually conceding more than I'd like to concede. I'm going to work on the defence. Obviously, our team isn't fantastic yet. We've got a couple of young players in there. And again, expected goals 4. We finished 5th in the league there, above Atletico Madrid, who finished 2nd. So we are creating chances. Goals from corners. I just wanted to show this one because it says 6 corner goals and we didn't abuse anything type thing. There's no abusing mechanics or any really tall centre-backs at the front post scoring 20 goals. We are at the top end, which you'd expect, because obviously we finished near the top end, but there's nothing exploiting here. So this is another interesting one that paints another part of the picture as well. Pass completion ratio. Now, we are second from bottom, 89%, which seems like a good amount. 89% of anything is high, but in terms of passing, it's not. And Racing Santander, again, they're not as good as us, and they're also playing on the back foot. But in the first season, we were actually bottom of this list. So we are, again, as you can see, we're not completing as many passes as anyone else. You can see here as well, in terms of like an actual number, we are bottom in terms of amount of passes completed throughout the entire season. We have completed the least amount of passes, but finished fourth. We're not looking to pass the ball. We're not looking to keep the ball. We're looking to hurt teams on the counter-attack, and we're looking to play forward whenever we can, which again is evidenced by this. Chances created. We're sixth on this list, 116. We've got more than Atletico Madrid, again, who finished second, and it's a good spot to be in. As you can see, all these teams around us here, with Girona on 49, everyone else is above 50, and we're on 40%, and we have created a lot of chances. So it's not this. I'm not saying this tactic is perfect, by the way. I'm not saying you're going to download it and it's going to be amazing. This is not a video for that. It's not a video saying, "Oh, look at me, my tactic's amazing. Please download it and use it." That's not what I'm saying. When we're going to the tactic, I'm going to be sort of discussing the principles of making your own counter-attacking tactic and how it works and how your team instructions and mentality and everything works together and the added layers on top of each other and how it works, so you guys can have a think about your own save and your own style of play as well. So, like I said, if that's what the sort of video you wanted, you can copy the tactic. I'm going to go through it all, so that's totally fine. There's totally up to you, right? If you want to use it and tweak it and make it better, I'm sure you can. But I just wanted to, this is only the second season, right? So it's not anywhere close to completed. But I just want to show you that it is possible and that it's something that I've been trying to do, because I've been wanting to do it for a while. But I thought this year, with the in possession, out possession, probably a good time to do it. This is another one then, high intensity sprints. So high intensity sprints, you would usually expect that if you've got more high intensity sprints, the better you've done. Now, Real Madrid, for example, they've got the least amount of high intensity sprints, and that is because they keep the ball a lot, right? So you'd expect that. If they have the ball, they don't have to sprint. Obviously, there's runners off the ball, but they're not chasing it and all that stuff. But we are actually third lowest on this. Espanyol, they're second from bottom. They're not fantastic. But us, as you can see, they're 40% possession, and we don't have high intensity sprints. We don't go and chase opposition. We literally sit back and we wait and we wait and we wait, and then we get teams and then we go forward. So again, showing a bit of a picture of how it all works. So this one for me is extremely interesting. Final third passes, 4 per game. So this is our team making final third passes. We are right at the bottom for final third passes per game, because we don't actually make our passes from the final third. We make them from the middle and the last third. We actually go over the top and we go like down the wings, etc. So again, another thing that is showing you, all these teams around us here, as you can see in their league position, they're 16th, 20th, 18th. You expect these teams to be down here, right? Final passes for the worst teams in the league. But you don't expect, right at the bottom of the list, a team to have qualified for the Champions League with the least amount of final third passes. Again, showing that when we win the ball back, we go long and we go quick. Let's go to the defensive side of things then. And first up is conceded. Now, we've conceded a bit too many goals for my liking. I would like this to be sort of down here on the 50 range. Again, expected goal against were the same. I would like us to be further down here. Alaves have done a really good job there. Sevilla as well have done a really good job. Third best defence, but finished 14th. So if they just get some attackers, they should likely explode. Clean sheets, we are joint fourth with Rayo Vallecano. We've got more clean sheets than Barcelona, Villarreal, Sociedad, Sevilla, Valencia. The top two teams, Alaves again there with 12. They finished in 10th. They've got a really good defence. But I would like us to get a bit more than that. 14, 15 clean sheets would be amazing, especially with our team not being as good. I can't ask for 20 yet. We've not got the players for that. So, fouls made. You would expect us, because we don't have much of the ball, we actually concede more fouls, because if you don't have the ball as much, you'd foul more. But actually, we've got the 4th lowest in fouls, 316. Real Madrid there, 310, because again, they have a lot of the ball. But actually, that's really good. I'm happy with that. We're not allowing teams to have too much space, but we're also not committing too many fouls. And obviously with that, you're not conceding too many set pieces, which is also very good. Tackles won. We are quite low in that as well. 4th lowest, 572. Just again, it's just showing that we don't go and hunt teams down and press them and try and tackle them with hard tackling. We actually sit back, we regroup, and we wait and hit on the counter-attack. A couple of interesting stats here as well. Shots against, I would like this to be a bit lower. Maybe down here in the Atletico Madrid range, 470, 480. But as you can see, we're the 8th lowest in shots against. Now, yes, we do regroup and we do allow teams to have some long shots and we do allow teams to come onto us, but actually there's a point. We're not just sitting back in a low block the entire game because you're just going to get beaten. In real life, you get beat by that, and in FM, you're going to get beat by that. you do have to have some sort of line where you draw in the sand, where you're like, do you know what? Okay, you're too close to our goal now. Now we're going to go after you. There's plenty of space behind, but we're not just going to sit on the edge of our box in a 5-4-1 and just allow you to pepper shots all day, because eventually we're going to get beat. We actually want to win the ball back, and we want some threat going the other way. We want to make you worried about how we play. So shots against, we're 8th, but shots on target, we're actually 6th. So teams don't tend to have too many shots on target against us, which is really, really good. Again, a lot of this is a player personnel issue. We're really not far away from being just behind Real Madrid and Barcelona, which you're never going to beat those two on metrics in the second season with Oviedo. Now, this is another interesting one. Passes attempted against us, right? And if you look here, we are 3rd on this list. Racing Santander and Burgos finished in 16 and 20. We finished 4th, like I mentioned, but we've got the 3rd highest passes made against us. Again, showing that we are sitting back and we are counter-attacking. Passes completed against, 3rd highest again. And this is another interesting one. Opposition passes per defensive action. So 29.16 PPDA, which means when a team gets it, how many passes are they allowed before we try and win the ball back? Right, that's what that means. I don't think that is highly the way that Opta use their stats. I think these are a bit high. I wonder if the in-game FM statistics are like sort of weighted differently and calculated differently. But either way, we are right at the top of that. We actually allow teams to have the ball when they get the ball the most before we actually go and try and win it. And then this one is also indicative of everything I've said and more, because this is final third passes against us. So we've just had a look at opposition passes against us. So total opposition passes against us. We have the most passes against us in the entire division. But how many final third passes? Do we let them get into our final third a lot? The answer is no. We are here 7th on the list. Now, again, I would quite like that to be like 4th or 5th, but with player quality being the way it is, this is really, really good. This is the sort of mark of how good the tactic's been this season. We're 7th on this list because teams they're allowed passes in their own 18-yard box. They're allowed passes sort of in their own half, but they get to a certain point, and actually, do you know what? The walls go up, the shutters come down, and you're not allowed past this point. You're not allowed to pass against us in the final third because that is dangerous. Just to show you a couple of examples of how the tactic plays out and the results and the match stats, we beat Sevilla in the first season 2-1. We had slightly more shots than them, the same shots on target, but look at the XG difference, 2.79 to us and 0.51 to them. Yes, we had 47% possession, which is really high for us, but as you can see, less of the ball, same amount of shots, but a lot more high quality chances. We also beat Villarreal as well in the first season. This was where I was on cautious mentality, and we had 49% possession, which was too high, and I wanted us to be a little bit more defensive than that, even though they had a lot of shots but not many on target, and we had a lot more XG than them, and that was without the penalty. So we created a lot of chances, we just didn't take them. After the first season, I did notice that we did create a lot, but we didn't have that guy to score. So in the second season, I did try and sign a couple more attackers because we were getting some of the stats, but we weren't getting the results. And then we went on a run of 3 wins from 3 in the first season, which was the best run we went on. And we played Real Sociedad, won 2-0, and they had more shots, more on target, less XG than us. Not by much, but less XG than us, which is a very big achievement in the first season with Oviedo because our team wasn't very good. And we only had 43% possession. That game there was the first time I was thinking, right, I've got something here. And it was just a really enjoyable match to watch. And then straight after that game, we did beat Sevilla away from home. We had more shots, same on target, but again, they created next to nothing. And we did have 47%. But I don't think Sevilla hold on to the ball too much anyway, so they sort of play with a bit more of a cautious mentality too. But 2-0 away from home against Sevilla in the first season was a fantastic result. There are more very good wins. Now, this one isn't exactly true counter-attacking. It was in the game, but 46% possession was a lot. 0.92. They had more XG than us. They had missed a really big chance, but we had more shots than them. And it was just another performance where we held our nerve and we got the result against a very good team, a much better team than us. This one was another one. Again, the striker that we signed, Latte Lath from the MLS, he was on the transfer list for really cheap. He scored about 21 goals this second season. But again, 32% possession, which is really, really low. 2.5 XG, and we had more shots and more shots on target. That was another very good win where I thought, you know what? This is going to be very good going forward. And another one which was quite extreme in terms of statistics, 0.88 XG from them, but 2 XG from us, and we had a third of the shots in both metric shots on target and shots, and we had 43% possession, but we had the higher quality chances, and we came away with 3-1 winners. So then this is the tactic. 4-2-3-1 with 2 defensive midfielders in possession, and out of possession, it's a deep 4-4-2. Now, I did start in the first season with this attacking midfielder here up front, but it didn't really work out. Basically, we were too deep And before I got it set up properly, we were just kicking the ball along and we were just coming straight back at us, basically. We couldn't really find the right players. Now, that could have been because of the team cohesion problems I mentioned earlier. Now, if I change that back, we might go on a scoring streak. I probably will try it because I'm using this save as a tweaking tactical system. A save, I'm actually quite obsessed with it, quite addicted to it. So it's going to be my personal one as well, development in tactical things. But it wasn't working. So, and out of possession, we're in a 4-4-2 because in possession, out of possession, I don't want us to be. If I put him there or even there, up front, it's a 1-on-1 situation. So it's a striker and attacking midfielder behind him. I actually want a left striker and a right striker because I want them to be able to sort of cover angles when fullbacks and centre-backs get it. I don't want them to be able to play around it like a 1-on-1 would. Basically, the striker on his own up front is pressing both centre-backs, getting run ragged with the goalkeeper as a 3. My right striker can mark the left centre-back, so then they have to go to the fullbacks, and then we trap them there as well. So that's the thinking behind that. I did want, like I said, a 4-4-2 in possession, but right now that's not what we've got. So let's talk about the roles quickly. There's nothing crazy about it, to be honest. There's nothing in possession and out of possession. There's nothing craziness about it. So in possession, I've just gone standard fullbacks. I don't want them to be I don't want them to be dribbling with the ball too much because that's not their job. They'll be out of possession, and then we're not going to be that solid team that I want to be. In left defensive midfield, I've got a deep line playmaker. The simple reason for that is because then defenders have an option if they have it. Someone that's a bit more specialised, a bit better on the ball, who's in a better position and better attributes to be able to play those long passes. He gets a lot of key passes. He is the guy that's there to sort of get the ball and be like, right, spot that run from the right wing or the left winger. Further up, this guy here, defensive midfielder, that's just a generic role. He just sort of screens, like you can see there. He's a screening defensive midfielder on the out possession. That's all he does. He wins the ball, gives it to him and everyone else, and then just screens on the other side. Out of possession on the attacking players is just tracking wide midfielders and tracking centre forwards. I want them to be able to put work in. I want them to be able to get to a certain point. I want them to be able to converge on people and we win the ball back in dangerous areas. So whether it's him, it's him, or sometimes it's these two. I don't really want my defenders winning the ball. I don't want to even get to the defenders. I want them to sort of sit back, and then when they get to our defensive midfielders, we win it, we get the ball, and we go. And that's evident basically in the amount of passes we've had against us, but not the final third passes. We don't let them get there. And they probably would get there more if I had these guys on wing backs, for example. So in possession, channel forward, it's literally just because there's space in channels when other teams attack us, right? That's the thinking behind that. Attacking midfield, not really thought too much about this role. He's basically, I don't want him to be second striker because, again, he could be the same problem as before where he's just isolated. But I also don't want him to be a playmaker because that means he's going to come to get the ball. I want him to be a threat. I want him to be quite high up the pitch, but just not as high as the striker, right? That's effectively what he does. Inside winger, inverted winger, the reason for that is when I had two wingers on, to start with, I had two wingers, and with two wingers, they were too wide. And I wanted some threat from the wing. And they'd just go forward and cross it in, and really all that was in the box was a striker. And I don't really want to just rely on him scoring goals. So we've got something a bit different over here. And on the left-hand side, the simple fact is my best left winger was left-footed. So it made sense for him to go down there and cut the ball across, right? And he's very good. Well, not he's very good. He's very good in the role. I'll show you him now. This is him, Haisem Hassan. He's at Oviedo in real life. And he's been playing on this left wing. He's left-footed. Now, mentally, he's not amazing, but he's got dribbling, flair, and the pace. And this year, he's got 14 goals and 7 assists. He's been very, very good. He's wanted as well by someone now, Fulham. Last season, he actually only got 6 goals and 7 assists. But as you can see, as the system got better and I tweaked it more, his output was better. So before we jump into the defensive mentality that we're using and why I'm using that and what that's about, and some people don't really understand mentality in its full form. They sort of get attacking means it's more attacking because obviously, but what does that mean? What does that do to each individual player? What does it make them do, or what does it make them not likely to do? If we talk about straight away defensive mentality, the mentality is basically the canvas of a painter. So if you think about a painter and artist, it's the canvas. The paint is the roles, the team instructions, the traits of the players, the individual attributes of the players, opposition instructions, and anything else that you want to think about. But mentality is the canvas of the painting before anything starts. So that's where the starting point. So defensive mentality means that they've got lower tempo straight away. There's less risk, right? The higher the mentality, the more risk you're going to take for the reward. I actually don't want to take risk. I want some players to take risks, which is why I'll show you the team instructions in a minute. But I don't want all my players to take risk because that's then not a solid defensive tactic that looks to counter-attack, is it? That's just a risky tiki-taka tactic or whatever you want to... People making runs everywhere. I don't want that. I want those 6 players at the back to stay there. I want some creative license in the front 4, but even then, they are coming back and helping out and tracking back. They're hard workers. So defensive mentality is lower tempo, lower width. Your centre-backs will have longer direct passing because they'll get the ball forward, and your strikers will usually have shorter passing. That's how that works. And it's vice versa the opposite way. I think they changed it at some point in FM as well. They did change that opposite way. But I don't think many people know 100% what's happening on that. They really sort of hide things, Football Manager. I don't understand why. And this year, for example, when you click on a player, you actually can't see now. If you click on, for example, passing strategy before, on FM24, there was a little bar up here and it showed you like the length of the passing. Now it's just standard, shorter and more direct. Before there was like slightly shorter, slightly more direct. So I think it's sort of more in line with the team mentality now, all players, rather than defenders do this and attackers do this. I think now it's everybody. So defensive mentality basically means less risk, less forward runs. Team instructions. So now what I want to do is if I just have team instructions balanced, my team are just going to be sort of not a threat, right? I need to give us some oomph. I need to give us something, some edge, some sharpness. I needed to give us some way that we're not just going to sit back and then lose the ball again in 10 seconds. I needed to sort of have a clear style. So team instructions, we've got standard passing. I went shorter passing to start with. So I went more direct passing to start with, and they were just hitting the ball long for no reason. It was just silly, no point. It was just coming straight back at us. I tried standard, and it's much, much better. They don't just play it for stupid. So much higher tempo does probably make people think, right, they must be like headless chickens. They must be bang, 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 bang everywhere. It's not actually the case. If I was on attacking duty, mentality, if I was on attacking mentality and I also had much higher tempo, the tempo would be off the scale up here, right? But because standards here, cautious is here, and defensive is here, if I then have much higher tempo at the side of that, much higher from defensive is like there. But much higher from balanced mentality is over here. And much higher tempo from very attacking is over there, right? So this is what I'm saying. So by default, defensive has a lower one. So me making it much higher means it's probably, in effect, just slightly higher because I needed to see them have a bit of urgency when we got the ball. Just because it says much higher doesn't mean that's the same as much higher on attacking or very attacking. Does that make sense? I don't want to waffle about it, but I want to sort of explain what each thing does because, like I said, I want this video to be you guys thinking about creating your own and how you can do it. Now, you can copy the tactic. Everything will be on the screen. I'm not going to leave anything out. But I just want to make you guys think about how tactics work and how to make these more defensive mentality ones work and what happens behind the screen. Because, like I said, if I just put defensive mentality on and I didn't change anything, the team would sit back, no tempo, probably no attacking intent or anything. We'd score a couple of goals. We'd have a couple of set pieces. And we'd score some goals because you do anyway. That's football. But there wouldn't be a plan to it. And team instructions sort of give you that extra edge and like a bit of a customization on your tactic. So counter-attack, obviously. Narrower width, literally, I want the players to be closer together so they can counter-attack and be closer together on the pitch. I don't want us to be super, super wide. And it sounds probably counterintuitive to a counter-attacking situation. But because they are on the wings, they're quite wide anyway. But I do want players to be closer together so there's a pass if we need it. That's just my personal style. I'm sure you could get this working with wide, but I don't like it personally. Play for set pieces. I've just done that because we're not very good. Right, we've not got the greatest team, so I just did that for that reason. Balanced, I've gone balanced on that. I'm standard on that. I don't really want anything else. Final third, we've got hit early crosses because I want us to get there and whip it across. Why not? Shoots from distance, I've just gone discourage simply because there's too many long shots on this game and not enough go in. Progression, I've gone pass into space. Again, makes total sense. Supporting runs, I've gone balanced. Dribbling, I've gone balanced. I don't want us to be over dribbling with the ball. We'll lose it. I want us to pass more. I could probably make that discourage, actually, so we pass more. But right now, it's working okay. Progress through, I am thinking about changing this to wings. I get nervous sometimes when our team's got the ball and we're progressing down the centre. These teams have got such good central areas of midfielders and we've got strong wingers, that I actually want us probably to go down the wings, because if we lose the ball down the wings, it's not as dangerous as if we lose the ball in the middle. That's a simple fact. And pass into space obviously makes sense, right? Build up, I have gone short goal kicks simply because when we went long goal kicks, was just coming straight back at us, losing the ball. That's the only reason for that. Out of possession, this is what we've got. So we've got a mid block, a low block. I started with a low block and it's too low. It was too low. I'm not saying you can't get it to work. Of course you can. I'm going to give that another try at some point. But for this one, it's mid block while I get to grips with it a bit more. Higher defensive line, like I mentioned, that doesn't mean it's a high defensive line. It just means it's higher than a defensive mentality as default, right? So it's probably more like a cautious defensive line by default. Trigger press more often. I didn't want much more often. I tried much more often because what I was thinking in my mind is, I was thinking, okay, defensive mentality means we're going to be quite passive off the ball. So much more often will make us, when they get to that mid block, we'll be able to sit deeper, and then go for it. Too many gaps were appearing. We've got a bit better players this season or next season, so I might try it with much more often. I might get better results, I don't know. But for now, more often makes the right thing. And we've also got regroup in defensive transition. We don't have counter press and we don't leave it to balance. I want us to, as soon as we lose the ball, we come back in a deep 4-4-2. That's what I want. That is exactly how we need to play. Standard tackling, I don't want us to dive in. I don't want us to give too much space away, but I don't want us to dive in. No chance. Cross engagement, I have dabbled with this in different games. So if teams are looking like they're playing down the wings, I've tried to stop crosses. And if they look like they're playing down the centre, I've tried to invite crosses into more. Especially this year, we've got better defenders. So sometimes it doesn't matter. You can actually like give away space on the wings, but don't give away too much space, right? That's the balance between anything. Pressing trap, I did start with this on the outside, but again, we're letting teams have too much of the space down the wings. And on FM26 in particular, wingers will kill you. So I had to take that off and it was much better without. I am this year going to be thinking about changing. This season I'm going to be thinking about moving him back up front. I do want a 4-4-2 in possession and out of possession. I might just use a deep line forward or a false 9 so he comes into that attacking midfield position. But that is how I've set up my defensive mentality and how it's worked and how everything's tied together with it. I'm hoping it's give you some food for thought and how it works, because you can get defensive mentality tactics working. You just have to sort of use team instructions right. I am going to try at some point a very defensive mentality tactic, but I'm probably going to have to be like much higher tempo, more direct passing to sort of bring everything up a little bit. There's no player instructions on any of these players because I quite like how they play with the team instructions. I don't want to make too many changes. Sometimes I find if I add too many player instructions, it gets a bit convoluted and you come away from your initial game plan, which is not what I want to do. Sometimes in games I do change a couple of things, player instructions wise. So sometimes I'll have my left midfielder mark their right back if I find that he's not wide enough and he's not sort of stopping him enough. And I'll do little things like that. But in general, that is the entire tactic, like I said. But that is why I've done it. That is what's working and what's happening and how you can sort of overcome the odds, your wage budget, your player skill, if you use the defensive mentality and the tactics in the right way. And thank you very much for watching the video. Please let me know in the comments as well what things you want to see tactics wise, and I will try and get it to you because this year I am on a tactical binge. Leave a like on the video, a subscription on the channel, and if you want to watch more tactic videos from my channel, there's one right there now that's about a complete beginner's guide to making your own tactics. And until next time, I'll catch you then. Goodbye.